absolute mid. It's the best season of all time. Yeah, honestly, this is my favorite season I've ever played. I'm joking. But really, we should talk about the live event that just happened, because what the hell was that? I want to get into my experience with this before anything, because it's something that, you know, kind of bothered me, okay? It really bothered me. I have a very sour taste in my mouth when it comes to this event as a whole. So typically for very important events and things like this, when you load in, you typically have to load into a separate game type. And if they don't want to do it where all the other game modes you can't load into, like reload and all those other things, that's fine. But there is no separate game mode for this live event. So you're loading in, and it's basically just a regular battle royale match, and everyone sort of has to just agree to not kill each other. Within the first bit of being in the thing, or like in the event, because I attend with my girlfriend, we're chilling, we're doing our thing, she gets knocked by someone. My question here is, how the fuck is this possible? Why? Like, the event was, I think, about to start or had just started, and she had gotten knocked. That doesn't make any sense. How is that possible? Usually in events that mattered and things like that, you are like not able to die, and you're bulletproof. You can build, people can destroy your builds. Sometimes you have to put your pickaxe away. You know, there's things like that. Really stupid. So I go to res her because I'm like, well, damn, it would really suck if like she's dead and then she has to spectate me the whole time. Let me go and res her. I immediately died. All right, well, the event just started. So for the event starting after we had died, I don't want to leave because I'm like, damn, I would hate to miss out on it. So for gameplay that I'll probably be showing in the background and things like that, I am spectating the event because they did not introduce not taking damage or anything like this, especially for it to be as hyped up as it was. We did not get teasers or really much like in terms of trailers and things like that online from Fortnite officially for anything else during the entire chapter, at least to what I remember. I could be wrong about that, but I do not feel like we have gotten much. I've looked at a lot of things before, you know, getting into this video and, you know, writing stuff down. There was not much. There's things in game and, you know, things that hint to it being in game. So like for chapter 5 season 1, we had like, you know, earthquakes and things like that, and then eventually the hand comes up with Pandora's box. It's like, oh shit. But that there was nothing that was like official. There's nothing that was posted that was like, look out for the earthquake, like nothing like that. This was the first time that we had that. We see it, you know, I'll show you. We have a TikTok and it shows the mini trailer for this event. So we know that something is coming, and we also have a timer, and we know that the timer is going to get to 0. So there's something important around this area. Not having it so that it was a separate game mode, or just when you're in the area you didn't take as much damage or no damage, would have been amazing. So we didn't get to experience it. So if you take that out of the equation of we got to experience the event as normal and as planned, I would still be disappointed with this, and I want that to be clear. The event itself was not interesting whatsoever. It was interesting in terms of, you know, seeing Doom and all of that stuff. You know, the cutscene was kind of interesting, and we'll get into the cutscene sort of. But overall, this event was something where it was like, this was overhyped. I think I had recorded it or something. I can show it right here, where there was like total 4 million players and 0 builds and builds together just on one server. I don't know if that's everywhere, but for just one server, I would assume, or just whatever, there was 4 million people wanting to watch this event. And within a couple hours after that event, it went right back down. This event brought so many people in, and immediately, like, I would just say disappointed a lot of them. There has never really been an event in Fortnite that has come out like this where people go, that shit was ass. And there was a lot of people who are trying to defend it. They're like, oh, it was super cool. There was also some glitches and things like that with the event that I'll show. It doesn't really matter for that stuff, but it also just goes to show with a couple of things. But overall, yeah, my experience wasn't really the greatest, and it was something that I kind of look at it and I'm like, man, there's so many things that they could have done. When the actual event starts and you're in the area around Dr. Doom when he's large, you're able to just not be hurt as much. You're able to take like 4 damage, 5 damage, 10 damage from shots from people. It's mitigated in a way. The one issue though is you still have people trolling, which I have spectated, and I'll show the gameplay of. They just chase people the entire time and are ruining everyone else's fun. There are 2 people at fault for this. The player for doing it because, you know, it's little snot-nosed kids. They find it fun, cool. But then there's also Epic. They have the ability to make it so that you can't take damage. They have the ability to pretty much make it so that it's an event, and they did not do that, and that was very obnoxious. It ruined, I know a lot, if I am someone who went through this, there are definitely other people who also went through this where they were like, motherfucker, I didn't even get to play. In which I watched some other people's live streams, you know, they got lucky, and it's just overall a thing where it's like, it's stupid that this is something that had to happen. And so pretty much what happens is this, the little like Stark things blow up or whatever, I don't exactly know what happens, but like Dr. Doom appears and smoke covers your screen, and then a cutscene plays, and the cutscene plays some stuff. We see Dr. Doom's big, we see some more interaction. We'll get more into the cutscene side of it in a minute, but after that point, then it just becomes a couple rifts are spawning around, and you can get ammo, and you can, everyone all together in separate servers and all that sort of stuff can shoot Dr. Doom to kill him. That is just the idea there. He has a bunch of health, and then randomly, I think he lost a bunch of health. I think they may have changed his health in the middle of people doing it, but apparently he had like 2 trillion health or something. I don't know that to be sure, but he did have a lot, obviously, because the bar was not going down much if you and just a couple people were shooting it in your lobby. It was just shooting the chain all over again. It's just that. In my opinion, I compare this similar to like the random duck that they had that was like close to Lucky Landing in chapter 1, where there was no reason behind it. It had like 1 million health or something, and you could just shoot it to destroy it, but it didn't do anything. Like, that was it. It was just the duck. So I don't like that. That's sort of my comparison there, because overall there wasn't much to happen in this event. Now, I know it's kind of odd to sort of say, like, to start talking about the live event now, because maybe there's stuff that happens later. Okay, with the end, Dr. Doom dies, but not really dies. He goes through a rift and his mask is left behind. You know, there's some things there where you can be like, okay, maybe there's more to this. Obviously, we have Fortnitemares coming up, but there's nothing that, like, they don't have any official art right now or anything that's even leaked or that's official, like in terms of loading screens and things like that, where it's like, oh, they come back. There's nothing that points to that. It is just Dr. Doom disappeared. And based off of the past couple seasons, it is assumed by anyone using, you know, our detective skills that was the end. That was all there was. There's going to be something that maybe happens in a little bit, or the mask involves something else, but there's nothing else. You know, the chain broke for chapter 5 season 1, the Pandora's box falls, it opens, then the next season happens. There was nothing else. You know, chapter 5 season 2, the monument, and it ignites the lightning, it does the smoke storm. The smoke storm slowly is getting bigger and bigger, arriving towards the island. The trailer happens, we see what exactly happened with that. And then at the end of chapter 5 season 3, the explosion happens. The Pandora's box is sitting there, and then we get the season that we're currently in. There's only one season or one event every time. So that was it. That was really it. I hope, and I do give not necessarily credit, but benefit of the doubt, that there is a chance, not a big one, but there is a chance that there is more to happen. There may be some other event or trailer or cinematic or something that furthers the story in terms of, hey, that wasn't Doom. Because there's theories out there that Mysterio has been creating all of these fake illusions, because that is all of what Mysterio does. He creates illusions, he makes things look real, but they're not. So it would make sense for all the heroes and villains to be dead or injured or captured, you know, things like that. There's theories of, you know, Dr. Doom is just created, like everything that we've seen is created specifically by Mysterio. And, you know, there's some bits of evidence as well around certain places, like propaganda, right? I would say, you know, things like that, like news stuff that's posted everywhere, like posters, things like that exist. So it's like, okay, so like there's some merit to that theory, but I wouldn't bet on it. With this live event ending, we just, like, all we have to know now is that, okay, this is the end of the chapter. Like, this is it, because it's leaked and basically like not official, but it's almost as official as it can be, because Epic had stated, hey, we're doing the OG stuff next year. They had said this in a tweet. I don't know exactly what it is. I'll find it later, but I didn't find it now. But, you know, we know that Chapter 2 OG is coming, or if it's not Chapter 2, it'll be Chapter 1 or something. They're doing it again. So it's the end of this chapter. Like, there wasn't much really for this. And overall, it was just boring. The actual event itself is not very interesting. Not much happens. We don't even see Doom do anything. Okay, and that leads us to my second point here of using cutscenes versus using live animation, or, you know, having an actual live event. It happens live in front of your face. I don't think that we needed a like in the middle of the event, a cutscene. I think that it would have been more interesting to see Doom grow to size or something along those lines, because it would actually make it feel like a live event. I would give this event more credit if that is what happened. If we see him rise up, if we hear people over intercoms and things like that of War Machine and Iron Man and all of these other characters, you know, whichever character they wanted to use for talking, have them talk, have it be visible that it's like, oh, War Machine's up in the air, and then he smacked him, and we see that War Machine got flown all the way over to, you know, Grim Gate, or, you know, something like that. We see that instead of watching that over a cutscene. The cutscene was cool, don't get me wrong. I do like the cutscenes, but it takes away from the live event. Now, there's a couple times where they have used cutscenes in Fortnite in the middle of live events where it works. And I would say it works because we can see a good example of this is in one of the events. I think it was the end of chapter 2. In their event, we see that it goes like underneath the ground, and we see Jonesy and the Rock and stuff like that. We see all of that like trailer bit of stuff, if that makes sense, like just, you know, cinematics or cutscenes, whatever. It's not something that the player can experience. It doesn't make sense for us as a player or character to be in that situation. So it makes sense to show that to the audience just as like, hey, this is what's happening. And then it furthers into more cinematics and live event stuff. So it's not that, like, it works. It makes sense. We could have potentially seen Doom grow to size, is really what I'm saying, because that's something that was from our perspective. It was not in the middle of nowhere. It could have happened. And on top of this, we've also seen in real time larger characters fight. We had the mech and the monster. I honestly, at this point, I think way bigger than, or potentially the same size, with their own animations and things like that, of them fighting. We've seen this. We're not new. It's not a new thing. They've done it before, is my point. They just did not do it. And that was really boring because all he did was just walk around. And I did say I was going to bring up some glitches. Apparently he could default dance randomly. Don't know why the hell that was happening. Sorry for my dogs. And then there's also some other glitches where like AI and certain bits of characters that were there fighting, like Peely and whatnot, they would like walk away. They would just stop fighting and just walk infinitely, which is like, okay, I don't necessarily care for the AI. If they're there, they're there. I didn't really care for it. And one other thing to add in here before we get into Donald Mustard and sort of like the history of live events and certain things, we also have like, I think it's like the head writer or something like this. She's the senior writer for Fortnite and Lego Fortnite. So there's a bit of like notoriety there or whatever, like the acknowledgement. We're acknowledging that, okay? She's posted some things on her Twitter that sort of imply that there's like if she's one of the main people writing this stuff and like more or less a head honcho, she really wanted or like pushed for having Doom be large. Like there may not have been an actual reason for that, and it's kind of just weird to see online. Doesn't really matter though. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? But all right, so the last thing to sort of end off on here, what happened to events altogether? I'll try to sort of summarize this quickly. I don't know how quick it'll be though. It might be a little long in terms of like 5 to 10 minutes. We have had an event every season, whether it be bad or not, up until Chapter 2, Season 3, okay? And now I kind of count that was the time that it kind of ended off, but Chapter 2, Season 1, we had just a Star Wars collaboration, and that was it. There was nothing else, so it was like, damn, there's nothing. This was not good. This was also really bad because it was a very big low point for Chapter 2, Season 1. Oh my god, that season was... whew. Anyways, there was also no live events at all for Chapter 4, and that was mostly because, you know, the Chief Creative Officer, Donald Mustard, he was basically heading out already. He was planning on, like, I'm guessing had announced it that he was leaving. I don't know for that for sure. But he had left a little bit after Season 4 of Chapter 4. So he was already, like, he was working towards that point. There wasn't much left. The last thing that he had stopped working on was Chapter 3, Season 3. So the vibing season, when he made sure that Darth Vader and Indiana Jones got in there. He basically had lost control creatively, and the reason why is because of the push for the metaverse, okay? Now, an entire interview is like an exclusive interview on GameFile. You had to sign up to fucking read that shit. I had to do that. That was really obnoxious. I don't like having to sign up for stuff. Fuck that. I had to cancel my subscription instantly. But anyways, I read through like pretty much the entire thing, but got to the main point of it. Okay, there's a lot of fluff, but in fluff, it's just talking about Donald. But the main thing here is Donald had explained that Epic really was wanting to push for the metaverse in terms of games and things like that. And that involved having a deadline set for the end of 2023 or in Christmas or, you know, around December. And that was for Lego Fortnite and Rocket Racing to release. And I will also add here that Donald Mustard wanted a metaverse as well, but not at the sacrifice of his like own stuff, which we'll get into. I would assume as well that Harmonix, they're the people that made Rock Band, which is basically the exact same as Music Festival. There's not much of a difference there. There's people that already understand what to do, so they didn't really need much in terms of having to work on a music festival. That's just something to keep in mind though for the, you know, metaverse. Donald had further explained that because of the deadline, they required more and more people, basically more resources that needed to be allocated to working on Lego Fortnite and Rocket Racing specifically. So the only people who really needed to be taken or moved in like departments and all that stuff was the people working on live events. If you take those people, nothing else changes for the rest of the game. So that's what they did. Donald Mustard had said that he knew that the live events were pretty much like the heart and soul, the real joy behind Fortnite. He said it specifically. To quote him, he said, "This is actually the magic," and then said, "But not everyone at Epic agrees with that." And by the time he was planning to leave, you could assume that, you know, as writing and story and all that stuff, when people are planning on leaving, they start to do less work. There's no point in trying to better the company that you're working for and just kind of doing what you need to do just to leave, okay? So Chapter 4 wasn't that bad of a season, okay? And the reason why we didn't get live events is because they were all working on everything else of Rocket Racing, Lego Fortnite, Music Festival. So that's why there wasn't live events. But Chapter 4 as a whole wasn't bad, but there wasn't much story, which you could assume is because Donald Mustard was not there to really do much on it. He didn't care for it. He has no reason to care for it. I do think that live events would have made Chapter 4 much better. Chapter 4 competitively was really, really good. I know that a lot of people talked about it, but story-wise, it kind of just dropped off until the time travel stuff had happened. And then we had Fortnite OG, and we all know how the rest of it goes. I think that honestly, this is something that was horrible in terms of just how it was treated, how it went about things. It's legitimately just how a lot of companies are now. It's something that's known that it's like you build up a company, you are your own person, you're the CEO, whatever. You build up this company and then you sell it off for a bunch of like money or stocks or whatever, and you sell it off and you watch the company that you just made literally be ran into the ground by, you know, higher up sort of people, business people. They just try to basically sap all of the money out of it and try to do as much as they can for less. So what for Epic right now, it's like they didn't sell the company, but they got rid of something that made it very important for money. So Rocket Racing, Lego Fortnite, Music Festival, they all have their dedicated fans and whatnot, but as a whole, they don't hold much players. I will say that Lego Fortnite of all of the games holds the most. I think recently I've been seeing like it's 40K average ever since they've done the most recent Lego update, which is good, but give it enough time and they don't update it for long enough and it just flops again, and then they need to update it. And if they don't update it, it continues to bleed players because they're not keeping up with that game. And in reality, I think someone like myself can, like anyone can agree with this really. Lego Fortnite, Music Festival, Rocket Racing, these game modes would have been much better if they were given more time. And because of that set deadline, a deadline that affects all the devs, not the higher ups, but the devs, it makes it look worse. I do know that these game modes could have been better. And if they were better, if as a company for Epic, they gave the devs and people that were making the game more time, we would have had, there wouldn't be much to complain about. If there was more time allocated for these things, and by time, I mean like, the deadline isn't there, it's just a suggestion. Hey, we want to get this done by October 31st. If it goes a little bit over, totally fine. If you can get it done sooner, even better. But don't worry about it, we just want it done in that area, or something like that. That's not going to ever happen though, that's just sort of like a guess, you know? But obviously this is where we sort of conclude everything. I don't think that Epic will ever change in terms of doing all of this stuff. I know that there's people out there who will forever defend Epic, say that this was the greatest live event that ever happened. It's not. It's objectively not. There's people who will say it's objectively one of the best events. It's not. It's not. And all we did was shoot something. That was it. We've had better events, okay, and that's when there's more story. I do hope, though, besides dreaming of Epic to improve, I dream that Donald will one day come back and sort of fix up some shit and be like, hey, I knew what I was doing the whole time. I'm gonna prove you guys wrong in what you're doing, and then I'm gonna do it better, and then I'm gonna leave again or something. But those are just dreams. That's never going to happen, yeah. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought about this live event. I was not very happy about it, as you can tell. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this on my channel. And as always, I hope you guys have a great day, night, week, month, whole rest of the year. It really doesn't matter when it is, but I hope that's great for you guys, though. See ya.